We're back taking care of business. This is the 14th year anniversary edition of Taking Care of Business. So first and foremost, Lewis, happy birthday. 14 years we've been open today.
I sent you a gift today, didn't I? And it was an alien dying in a chair. But I'm slowly dying in this chair. 14 years.
We feel so old. So when we started the business, Lewis was 22, I was 24, 14 years ago.
We put on 4 stone each since then. I've had 2 hair transplants. You've had your teeth done.
Yeah, I'm a different man.
You look completely different. They say like people are not fake, but you are.
Oh my God.
You're as fake as they get.
Do you want me to sing you a song?
God, no, don't sing me a song.
Right, so today it's the start of the month, start of August. September actually. It's 7th September, so we now have August data from Allsopp and Allsopp. So any business that was conducted in the month of August, we have hot of the press news about all of the information that happened in our business. So we're going to talk to you about how the market's doing, some of the trends we're seeing, and really what the rest of the year might look like. So
I think what's important for anybody watching this and listening, what to expect from future data from us. We've now collating live data from the Dubai Land Department, historical going back 2015, and this data breaks down biggest sales in the area. It even breaks down to which agencies have the largest market share.
Yeah.
So we're really able to dig a little bit deeper in terms of what's going on in the market. So, I mean, over the course of the next 3 to 6 months, I think we'll be able to give a deep dive into areas as well in terms of what's selling, and what's out there.
Yeah, and look, reality is data should play a big part in people buying, particularly for investment. So, any more information you can get, I think the better, hey?
So, first bit of news, 31% of our buyers are cash buyers.
Not a massive change. I mean, that results in 61% of people buying with mortgages. So I don't think the interest rate rise of the last 5 months has really put people off dipping into the market, has it?
Well, I was speaking to people who own houses because my interest rate has gone up because I was on a 1-year fixed. But a lot of banks and a lot of brokers have put people on 5-year fixed. So a lot of people are kicking back saying, yeah, no problem, this interest rate hasn't affected me. And more importantly, the people that are buying now have already had a lock-in from their bank. So there's no real negative impact that the interest rate has had, and it'll be limited for the people that are buying on.
Well, my mortgage, just to share some information, my mortgage was just a little bit more than 17,500 dirhams. I'm now paying 21. So that's off the back of about a 2% rate increase. Now, we probably are expecting another rate rise 15th September when the next Fed rate review is, anywhere between 0.5% up to 1%. So we are expecting a little bit more of an increase in people's monthly payments. However,
all I heard then was you sinking in debt.
Yeah, it's cost me more money a month. It means less deliveries for me.
Really?
I probably need it as well. But I mean, the thing is at the moment is the cost of money is actually the same as what it was 3 and a bit years ago. So you can get today a fixed rate mortgage with one of the largest leading banks in the UAE at 3.99% fixed for 3 years.
Yeah.
Would you fix for 3 years? What would you do right now if you bought a new house? What's your advice?
I'm excited. I'm like a rocket. I'll do 1 year fix and if it goes down, you're locking a 10-year fix. But that's why we work. I think the big thing about the fixed and how long it's fixed for, I think the first thing to consider is that even if the interest rates go up and even if they double, you're still better off than renting. I'm doing a presentation at the moment now. I'm sharing with a few banks, and it's just about a 5-year amortization graph of what happens with owning a house when you're discharging the house at 5% a year, and then you're paying rent at an average value. Even if the market goes down 5% a year, if you fast forward 10 years, you own a house which is half paid off, even if it's gone down 5% a year, and you rent a house, you leave that house in 10 years and you have nothing. So it doesn't really matter. As long as you're not renting, you win even in a declining market.
I mean, when you see some of the rental statistics later on with regards to rent prices, this August versus last August, you'll probably find that it's evident that buying a house is paramount. It's a lot more important at the moment. So we've got some transactions. Transactions versus August 2022 versus August 2021. Number of sales transactions up just for Allsopp and Allsopp, bear in mind, are up 53%. 53%, which is huge. 53% transaction number of people buying houses are up 53% versus last year. That's just not a one-off in terms of this year versus last year. If we look at August versus July this year, the number of transactions were again up 19%. So still, despite everything that's going on, there is still very much an appetite to invest into Dubai property.
Yeah, I think the big thing is if you look at the top transacting areas, wow, the Arabian Ranch is one. I suppose that really falls under Reem, Damak Hills, Springs, the Green Community. All these areas have one thing in common: they're very, very well known. They're very well established areas, and I think a lot of people are buying into the life of a community. I mean, I was talking about this before. Again, with the presentation we were talking about, and we were talking about if you got
do a lot of presentations.
I do actually do a lot of presentations. It's quite cool actually when you say it.
PowerPoint Lou.
PowerPoint. Oh my god, that's my nickname. And what we were talking about is if you look at Dubai 20 years ago, there were a lot of compounds, and compound living was a thing where you'd get your compound in Al Wasl Road and places like that. And then what you found is a lot of the local community have moved out of that and now into more established areas. And it's not because the rents are cheap or the rents are more expensive. It's the lifestyle. They have children, they have kids, they want to go biking, they want to walk their dogs, they want the local amenities in the shops. And that's what an established community brings. If you look at like Arabian Ranches, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is it Jess School that's there?
Yeah, and you've got...
what's the waiting list for Jess?
I think like 3 years. It's something crazy.
So Georgia was saying, my wife yesterday, when we were talking about the kids' school, she said that people get their birth certificate the minute their kids are born, straight into that. I was like, oh my God. So that's probably one of the main reasons when we talk about top transacting areas. A lot
established communities, but what you'll see now with developers as well is they've actually put more effort into the community. So you look at Ranches 3 into Al Gaff. Look at the amenities they've got coming into they've got a lazy river,
Damak Hills. Is it
simmers.
Damak Hills? Not Damak Hills. Dubai Hills, the EMA project. Yeah. They have a beach built into the park,
Mad.
And like sand, wave pools. So I was showing one of the CEOs of one of the really big developers. I don't want to name names of who it was, and they didn't believe me. I was like, there is a beach in the middle of Dubai Hills that they've man-made for kids, and they were like, no. And I showed it, and they were like, we need this in our community, because now people are thinking more about. People are not just buying a house; they're buying into what it comes with around it.
Keeping them in the development, spending money in development as well. You look at Al Gaff, got their own lagoon there. It's really exciting.
Till Al Gaff excites me, and I'm just going to leave with until Al Gaff on this subject. Majid Al Futtaim?
Yes.
Okay. They own the malls.
Yes.
They own the rights to the cinemas.
Yes.
They own a lot of, let's call it socially active businesses. And I think that you're going to see things in Tal Al Gaff that maybe are not even announced yet. The cinemas, I'm talking like garden cinemas, things like that. And they have the rights to be able to do some crazy things in there. So I think that's going to be a really exciting project.
Definitely. So we've got top 5 transacting areas in August for apartments. So can you have a guess what they might be? You've got the notes in front of you.
I've got the notes in front of me, so I'll have a guess.
So we've got Dubai Marina, we've got downtown Dubai, Business Bay, Motor City, and Damak Hills are the most transacted areas in August for apartments only.
Yep.
You did touch on earlier on with villa areas, which Arabian Ranches, the Damak Hills, Springs, Green Community, DIP. It's quite a big range of areas, isn't there?
There's a lot out there, isn't there?
Yeah. And do you think that's, from a buyer's or renter's perspective, a little bit confusing?
No, not really. I mean, you've got to take, when you're talking about the types of people, if you broke that down on demographics, and guarantee you the villa people are old, decrepit age, there'll be 30.
Sure, a lot of people won't be happy being called decrepit.
Listen, you're in the club. Welcome to the club.
We're in the club.
We are the club.
Yeah.
There'll be late 30s, 40s, 50s that want the villas and the gardens and the barbecues. And that's what I want.
Yeah.
But then there's people that moved to Dubai originally and they want their marina lifestyle and the downtown, the JLT. That
was us. We were in Marina, weren't we?
Marina
Happening.
Tower. Oh my God, that put them fingers down.
Happening people.
I was outside before and I was talking to the head of IT, Nabil, and music was on, and I said, "How do you dance in the club now?" I wouldn't even know how to dance now. Like,
do you not just like click your fingers in?
No, I think I just have to do the one finger, like just up in the air.
The side steps are safe. It's a safe stop.
You can't do a side step in a club, kid. You'd be chucked out straight away.
Okay, so in terms of rental areas, obviously rentals plays a huge part in Dubai property market. We see a huge influx of people coming into country
Yeah.
over the summer. You tend to find a lot of people move in ahead of the new school year. So the top 5 transacting areas for apartments for rentals were Dubai Marina, JLT, Downtown, Damac Hills, and Dubai Creek Harbour. Been up there?
Creek Harbour?
Yeah.
Of course I've been
Pretty
up there.
cool, isn't it?
Well, yes, but I've been up there before you. I think I told you it was cool, and then you went up there. It's a, how's the best way to describe it? It's a Dubai Marina, really, of the other end of town, isn't it?
A little bit like Marina and Downtown mixed in, isn't it?
It reminds me of the original 6, like the original 6 in Dubai Marina. You've got your buildings, and then in front of it, you've got your boats and your docks and your shops and your restaurants, and it's very similar to that concept.
Be interested to see how popular that will be in 3-4, because obviously there's still a lot going on, isn't there?
It's very popular for us. Obviously, it's made the list.
Made the list. So we've got top 5 transacting areas for villas. Number 1, does it surprise you for rentals? JGE, Jumeirah Golf Estates.
Yeah.
One of the top transacting areas. Well, obviously we've got an office there. We've got Raven Ranches, again, popular with the old decrepit people.
Yep.
Rentals. We've then got Springs and Damac Hills. Damac Hills popped up in quite a few lists, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Got a lot of value there.
I think the built-up area that you get going a little further out, people think that Damac Hills is far out, but the reality is that when you leave Hesse Street, you go past Victory Heights, and then the next turning on Hesse is Damac Hills.
Yeah, but let's be honest, where's not far in Dubai?
No, exactly. And people go, oh, I'm not close to anything. What do you want to be close to, though? Like, it depends. Like, if you're in Damac Hills, you've got a golf course on your doorstep. You've got a clubhouse. So I think that's the big thing. It goes back to what I said before. What type of person are people that are renting in Damac Hills generally are going to be of our group, unless you're in the apartments.
Yeah, very much so. So we've got average apartment price in August. So for all the properties we sold that are apartments, the average price, bearing in mind obviously you may have some transactions to throw a number out, you can higher or lower, but the average apartment price in August 2022 was 1.431706 million. What do you think to that?
It's
Is
nice.
that right? It's nice.
1.5 million probably gets you a 2-bed in Marina now, so it's probably on the money, and I'll be putting you a 4-bed in Motor City. So yeah, I mean, look, it's around the standard price. Nothing surprised from that. And even the villa price, if you look at the villa price, it's 3.65 million now. It's probably what you're going to pay for, let's say in JG, for instance, in Redwood Park. I think a 3-bed there now off golf course, you're paying 3.6 million. They were 3.1, 2.8. I think someone in the company sold 2.7, and that's like within 18 months. So I think yes, it's the rate of inflation of property, but I don't see that going down either when you talk about the average value of apartments and villas.
What's mind blowing is the change in rent. So the average rental apartment in August last month was 116,000 dirhams. That's transactions conducted by us. 116,000 dirhams for an average apartment. Obviously, that we haven't defined it by bedrooms, but on average, that is what you're getting for.
But we're gonna people that want more information will be handing it out on a community basis to give people an idea of if your area is going up or down, because it's very difficult to say Dubai is going up or Dubai is going down, because you're going to have some areas that are just not popular and not transacting, and some areas that you see, whether it's the well-known areas, that are going to be booming. So
each community has their own microclimate.
Correct.
And
microclimate.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
And
different weather.
I don't. I don't think you can judge Dubai as a whole. I really don't. I think each area performs differently, and like I say, we'll be looking at rolling out community data over the coming months.
Definitely.
Average rental price for a villa, 333,000, so nearly double that of apartments for a villa price. Last one might surprise you. Does it surprise you? Because rental prices, I think we talk about it often in the office. Yeah, they've exploded. I mean, we can talk from our own point of view.
You wouldn't want to be a tenant now if you living month to month and you're looking at your rent thinking, oh my God, it's going up. But that's the way it is. I mean, look, the trend is this. Property prices go up, and there will probably always be a lag of 12 to 18 months, because the properties have got to vacate, then the new rental price kicks in. So as you've seen the property prices go up in value, when the new tenant leaves, the new price comes in. So
you've had a lot of people right now that are probably maybe coming out of COVID prices. They might have agreed their deal during lockdown or just after lockdown, benefit from low rent. And now obviously landlords are in a position where they can put rents up. So
they can, and I think that's where the valuation comes into place, the Dubai Land Department valuation, which we haven't really talked too much about because there's not been much publicity on it, but the rental valuation supersedes the rental index. So this is a big thing in the market at the moment, where tenants are saying, look, I'm not paying the new rental increase. Landlords are saying, it's not fair, I know the market's worth that. Sometimes rental index is out of date, and landlords are spending, I think it's 2,000 dirhams to go to get to the rent committee to get a valuation, independent valuation. And if that stacks up, they have the right, as long as within 90 days, to be able to put the new price on.
So if you're not listening from Dubai, or you're new to Dubai, in Dubai it has the Dubai rental calculator. Basically, it's an index of all rentals in the area. Typically, it's 3 to 6 months behind today. That is typically your guide for whether the price you're paying for your property is accurate. Therefore, if your rental is quite a bit lower than the rental guide price, the landlord is legally allowed to increase his rental. And what Lewis touched on was landlords at the moment are signing, going to the rent committee. They are basically getting an independent valuation, and like Lewis said, supersedes what's on the calculator, which is allowing more people to increase their rents.
So pretty much what I just said.
Yeah, do a lot of that. So average rental price increases on apartments in the last 12 months, we've seen 22% increase on rentals for apartments.
Yep.
An even bigger number, 34% of all villas, we've seen an increase in the last 12 months.
Put it into context, if you've not got a fixed mortgage on your property, and let's say, for instance, your mortgage has gone up hypothetically 2,000 a month, as an example, that means it's costing you 24,000 just to the mortgage because of the inflation and everything else. So everyone has to sort of chip in. I know a tenant doesn't want to pay it, but it shouldn't be borne by the landlord alone. So that inflation cost across the board, unfortunately, everyone's feeling
the rental, you're saying the rental increases are taking care of the increases in interest rates?
Correct. Yeah.
Interesting. We've got a bit of news to wrap things up. Just some of the things that are happening in Dubai, things we like to talk about, and really our opinion on that.
Yeah.
Hit me up. What we got? What's in the news that you found?
The mortgage rates currently 3.99% with CBD, our partners, preferred partners, or one of our preferred partners.
Yeah. Which is very good at the moment.
Yeah, it's very good. I think it's the most competitive rate out there.
I've got one. So Reuters yesterday, the 5th of September, they have a report on Dubai. Their outlook is they see a slight slowing in property price increase. So they are foreseeing property price increases in 2023. What they are saying is they are forecasting a increase of 3%, down from 6.5% in 2023. Essentially they're putting that down to geopolitics, obviously with what's happening with mortgage rates. Do you think that's about right? Because I've suggested really that property price increases will be still happening, but very modest, like single digits.
Do you know the biggest thing to look at? Again, I've just come back from London, and when you live in Dubai, you're very much in a bubble because everything's good here. Everybody's got a little bit more excess money because they're not paying tax. And then you go to a place like England, and you see how much let's say the cost of living is actually hitting people. And people are getting massively whacked on tax at the moment. Obviously, there's increases going around at the moment. There's wealth tax coming in. And
petrol's up,
electricity. I mean, someone said today it's going to cost in the winter £2.50 to have one shower, which blows my mind. I read that today and I just thought, oh my God. So when people...
Lots of stinky people in December.
Oh, I'd shower. I'll pay £10 a day for 4 showers. So when people talk about Dubai seems to always profit. When the world, I suppose, puts the brakes on or has a problem, Dubai seems to step up as the knight in shining armor. And I think that you can see that with the population increase and everything else. Yes, there's things happening here. There's corporation tax coming in at 9% from June next year. There's things to make it, I suppose, a more competitive market. But what I will say is that it's a hell of a lot better place to invest your money. As a landlord, hypothetically, you don't pay any tax on your rental income. If you're an employee, you pay no tax on your money. If you're a company, you're paying only 9% compared to what's the UK now?
What
into corporation tax?
up to 20% and plus?
20% plus. I don't even know what it'd be in America. So when you take all these things into consideration, and then you go to England where someone is literally worried about keeping the lights on, you can see people want to move here. So I think Dubai has a very bright future. Forget the property prices. Property prices for me are here nor there. And the reason they're here nor there for me is I'm not selling my house. And more importantly, all I look at is, are people moving here, and is it a good place to live? And if those two things stack up, the property market will always be healthy.
They say we are heading towards a recession in lots of parts of the world, say potentially globally. I'm not saying Dubai is recession proof, but the sentiment is I don't think we're going to feel the pinch here anywhere near as much as
Famous last words.
the rest of the world. Touch wood. Dubai developers are apparently delaying launches, which is interesting, ahead of the new golden visa scheme, which we've talked about several times on the podcast, but it's now been announced. 3rd of October is D-Day, where the visa offices and labour offices will be absolutely inundated with applications of this new golden visa, and it appears developers are holding off until then to attract a hell of a lot more foreign investment people to.
It's like the golden ticket, though, isn't it? I mean, look, we own this company. We've got investments in Dubai. I've personally tried to get the golden visa, and I've literally had a custard pie chucked straight in my face, saying, "No, thank you.
Yep.
This is not for you." So, I mean, it's going to be interesting because they're going to roll it out, and they need to make sure people can actually get it, because I think there's that level of comfort. Now, I read some unofficial yesterday that potentially they were looking at passports and things like that. If they go down that route, that's different level. I mean, that is nothing more than a rumour at the moment. But if that comes in, surely you'd be an expat. You get free DWAL, wouldn't you?
Oh my God, imagine that. I honestly believe, I think they're going to be European money where people will buy purely on the basis of being able to get a 10-year visa. Just solely that reason, forget any investment purposes. So 3rd of October, big day. As soon as we've gone through the experience ourselves, we'll share what it's like. I guess last thing before I wrap up, and unless you've got anything else to say, property prices, where they rose and where they fell in 2022. So this was on the National a few days ago, and they're talking about property prices. So what they've said is, on average, property prices throughout the course of this year have increased 9.9%. They've seen an increase of 8.7% for villas and 17.8% on apartments. What pretty much what we're seeing?
Very, very similar. Very similar, yeah.
Good. Okay, well, that's taking care of business.
We have took care of business.
We've took care of business. It's our 14th year, going into our 15th.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Bye.
Bye.